Chris, you look like a balancing act over there.
Just here so I don't get fined, Jim.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Jim Feist Handicapping Show here at DeMarco's Pizzeria and Wine Bar. We are inside today at the bar. Weather has pushed us inside due to some rain, which we haven't had in 200 and some plus days here in Las Vegas, but it is raining, so we are inside with Jim Feist. We have all sharps, no squares, and joining Jim and I today is the proprietor of DeMarco's and Albert Scalleat. So Albert, welcome to the Handicapping Show.
Thank you, Tommy. I'm usually on the other side of the fence, but I see how I like it over here.
So, Jim, I want to start here with you. I saw something, we talked about this with Crackman on Monday. The sports books made $22.1 million off the Super Bowl. Surprised?
I feel so sorry for you.
Are you surprised by it?
Well, let me think. They had to beat the props because there was so much big money came in on Philadelphia, but you got to remember too, they really never went to Philly the favorite, so there had to be even action. I don't know, they had to beat the props pretty big.
Yeah. So here's the prop I want to know, and we'll see if anybody out here in the audience knows this. Who has more years experience, Jim Feist in sports betting or Albert Scalleat running pizza businesses? Who do you think's got more years of experience? Is it Jim or is it Albert? You're saying it's Jim? Ray, who do you say it is?
Jim Feist.
It's Jim Feist, that would be right. He's in 6 decades. I just asked Albert, he's had 58 years of being in the pizza business, so it's only a couple years apart. So we've got a lot of experience, these two. With photo finish is absolutely correct for sure. Albert, let me ask you this, then I'm going to get into some Dom stuff in your pizza, but I know you're always on the other side. You're very interested and very attuned to what's going on in the sports betting world. But when did you start being interested in sports betting?
Well, I started gambling when I was 5.
5 years old, you started gambling?
We used to play blackjack under the streetlights for pennies.
Wow.
I grew up in a gambling family in a gambling town. I've been gambling all my life.
So he's been gambling since he started gambling before you did. You said you were in your 20s.
Well, the first time I gambled, my uncle came home from the Marines, and I think I was about 10.
Okay.
And he wanted to teach me how to play poker.
Oh.
That was a bad thing because I had a big jar of pennies and stuff, and he took all the pennies.
Well, you said had.
I had, and he took them, and the lesson was never play another man's game because they never gave the pennies back.
But right back to the NFL real quick. Just your take. Kelsey going to stay or retire?
I don't know. It's so tough. I mean, if I were him, I'd retire.
What's he need to come back for?
Well, a lot of times you don't want to go out on a note like they just did. I mean, it was pretty embarrassing. They were never in the game. They didn't play well. The whole game was a mess. Philadelphia just destroyed them. And but you take a chance to go out there. You get hurt. He's got a beautiful girlfriend. I think they're going to get married. At least it sounds like it. There's other things he can do. Go in the booth and be an announcer.
Right.
He doesn't need. I wouldn't do it. I'd retire.
Let me ask you this then. I saw on a mock draft, Tennessee is looking at taking Cam Ward, the quarterback from Miami. Do you like that as a mock for them to take Cam Ward? You, Jim?
I don't like any of the quarterbacks coming out of college right now.
Not even Shador?
No.
Sanders?
I think they're work in progress. And it's going to take a while. It's going to take some good coaching. They're going to have to get lucky to get a good offensive coach and a good quarterback coach, and they're going to have to be dedicated. I mean, he has the DNA. We know who his dad is, for God's sake. I mean, the guy was one of the greatest athletes ever, but it's a different position. And you got to be able to read defenses. You got to be quick on your feet. You got to be quick with your mind, and you got to be sharp, and you got to be accurate. There's a lot of things you got to learn. It's not a quarterback position in football is not easy.
No, and I saw New England's their mock pick at number 4 is to take Travis Hunter, who plays both ways for Colorado.
I would take Travis Hunter, number 1 draft choice. I would not go to anybody else. I think he's the best player in football.
And I don't disagree with you. And I won't be surprised if he tries to play both ways. He's good. The kid's athletic. I don't know if he's the next prime time, but he's good. And I won't be surprised if they at least let him try to play both sides.
Well, you got to remember this. They pay more money to one position over the other. So he's going to probably go to the position that pays the most money.
Okay, I got you. Albert, let me ask you this with the pizza business. Started in 1966 in Fresno.
Yes, sir.
But now we're here at Dom DeMarco's. And for people that may be watching this on Jim Feist's show, how many years did it take you from the time that you first learned about DeFara's in Brooklyn to get this place open?
Okay, let's see. I learned about the far, I think it was 04 or 05 by accident. My son-in-law, Jeff Lepore, and myself, we were in White Plains, New York, because we were building a hotel and we were dealing with, I can't remember anything. I'll think of the name in a minute. Anyway, I got done talking about business. These guys start talking about pizza. So I said, well, my favorite pizzeria is in Trenton, New Jersey. It's called Di Lorenzo's Tomato Pie. And they said, oh, we got a real good one over here in Brooklyn. It's called DeFara Pizza. In fact, if you want to go over there, we'll take you over. So we go over, and it was maybe 6 o'clock at night, and it was yellow tape all around the door. They were here. They had been shut down by the health department, but they were open. So we go in, and I got talking to the owner, and he says that he spoke hardly any English. He said that the health department, they don't work after 5. So after 5, I opened. But anyway, the pizza was so good. It was so good, I said to the guy, well, actually, I said to the daughter, I said, you know, I'm a retired pizza guy living in Vegas. I love to bring this pizza out there. And real cocky, she said to me, my father gets offers from the suits on Wall Street all day long, and we're not interested in doing business with anybody. So I walked back to the table, and I said to Jeff, I said, this isn't going to be easy. So, let's see. What did I say? That was
04.
04. Okay. Now, 2008, we opened a hotel. And we went back to see Starwoods was the people in White Plains. That's the franchise we went with. Anyway, 2008, we opened a hotel. December 18, 2008. We go back in January, and we go back to DeFara. And I pitched them again, and it was the same thing. And this went on, let's see, 2018. No, I'm getting all confused. 2008. Okay, that was 2008. Well, we finally opened up here December 1st, 2011. So 3 years of back and forth with them. And the way it happened was after we opened the hotel, I had a card with my name on. So we go back into Farah. As we were walking in, I remember I said to Jeff, I'm going to try a different approach today. So I get up to the counter, and a girl behind the counter always gave me the cold shoulder, Maggie, the daughter. She had introduced me to her younger brother, Dominic. Not her younger, but her older brother, Dominic, and he ran the show there. So I called him over, and I said, look, we just opened this hotel. It's not a casino, but it's a beautiful hotel. I want you and the family to come. You stay as my guest as long as you want. In typical Brooklyn guy, he puts the card in his pocket, and he says to me, why would I want to go to Las Vegas? I got everything I want right here on my street. I don't even own a car. I got everything right here. Why would I go out there? I turned around and walked over to Jeff. I said, we're not eating tonight. Let's get the hell out of here. This guy's an asshole. I'm going to punch him in the face. 2 weeks later, I get a phone call. Now I see the 718 area code. I know it's Brooklyn. I figure it's Dominic, right? I pick up the phone, but I act like I don't know who he is. Hello. Hey, Al, it's Dom. How you doing? Dom who? DeMarco's. How you doing? Oh, you. What do you want? You know, he said, I took that card home. I showed my wife. He said, I never knew she wanted to go to Vegas. She watches all these shows about Las Vegas. Does the deal still stand? I said, well, look. I said, you got to bring your father. He said, hey, my father hasn't been out. He moved here in 57. Been out of Brooklyn 14 times. Every time was to fly back to Caserta in Italy. He said he won't even go to Jersey. He's not coming to Las Vegas. So anyway, Dom Jr. and his wife come out. They spent a week with us. I took him to every good restaurant in town. We made pizza every day. And at the end of the day, he says to me, look, he said, the only reason we never did anything with anybody is because my father's brother works at the place where they make the buffalo mozz in Caserta, and he's got connections with the tomatoes and this and that. We get everything from Italy, but it's very expensive. And my father said, nobody will ever do this, and they'll ruin our reputation. He said, but I can see you guys are serious and you'll do it. He said, but I got to get the okay from my father. He said, I'll call you when I get home after I talk to him. So he goes home, he calls me up, he said, look, my father wants a meeting. So we go back on, see, they used to be only open Wednesday to Sunday from noon to 9, closed from 4 to 6. So he said, you gotta come on a Sunday night, have dinner, and then Monday and Tuesday when we're closed, you could talk to my father. So we did that. And we go there at 9 o'clock on a Monday morning. I'll never forget this. The place is barred up tight with doors, iron doors and locks and this and that. So I bang on the door. They go, we go in there. I'm looking at the old man are sitting at the table. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. They got a bottle of Valpolicella, which I know is $120 a bottle because I bought them many cases since then. So they have a big glass. They fill it half with ice, half with Coke, and the other half with the wine. So now he pours me one. I'm not a big drinker. So here it is, 9 o'clock in the morning. I start drinking this wine. I can feel my face getting red, and I start sweating. So we're talking to the old man, and he says, "Queste paese," and I had an idea what he meant, and I said, "Fria di Cendera, provincia di Salerno." In other words, he was asking me where my people were from in Italy, right? So when I told him that, he started laughing. I says, "Why are you laughing?" He said, "I spent the 2 years." When I was in the army, 2 years in that town. He says, I know that people, his words were like this, good people over there, good people. Cendala, Fria di Cendala, good people. So we talked with him and I shook hands with him until this day. We never signed the paper, never anything. We opened here, we opened in Caesar's Palace, and my word's my word and his word was his word.
Wow. And now you got best pizza, best pasta, best happy hour, best delivery, best patio. How many years in a row have you won Best of Las Vegas? 5, 6 in a row?
At least 6 best pizza. But every year we won many other things too. But every year it seems we win. We have the best customers here. I call them friends. They're all my friends. When they see we're in a contest, they vote for us. I love it. I mean, I love them. They love us.
Well, let me ask you this, because I've heard this now from not just one person, but at least a dozen or more, that there's no place in Las Vegas, high-end or not, that has meatballs better than Dom DeMarco's. What's the secret recipe for the meatballs?
I gotta tell you the story. All the pizza recipes are Dom DeMarco's, except the new pizzas that Alex makes, which are great, but we got to keep up with the times. But all the Italian food recipes are my family's, and the meatballs were my mother's, and some of the recipes are my mother's, some are my aunt's, some are my grandmother's. But he gets credit for the pizza, we get credit for the rest.
I keep hearing how outstanding the meatballs are. You got a wine bar. This happy hour is from 2 to 6. Wines are 50% off bottles, 50% off glasses from 2 to 6. And all pizzas are 50% off from 2 to 4. Is that right?
Absolutely correct.
And then the patio outside is absolutely beautiful. When was that constructed?
Well, within the last year, we spent a lot of money on it, and we got it right, and it's perfect for parties. We're getting a lot of parties out there, and everybody loves it. I mean, really, if you're a happy hour person, you can't beat Dom's. If you want to have a party for your office or your family or a big group, you can't beat the patio.
And you can't beat coming here on noon to 1 for, Jim Feist is always going to be here for the handicapping show. We're going to be transitioning into March Madness. February 26th, we're going to move to Wednesdays throughout March Madness because all the games will be Thursday through Sunday, so we can give you stuff right up until then. At noon to 1, every Wednesday starting February 26th. We're off next week. Are you excited about getting into March Madness?
I'm excited about basketball. I mean, now the football's behind, and then, unfortunately at Kansas City, but I did have the over, and I made a little money on the day. But you know, got to lose sometimes, and that one was kind of embarrassing. But
it happens.
You know, but I'm looking forward to basketball. Last Saturday was really good. Today, I mean, they got a million games today, but There's no really big teams. It's not. It's kind of a sloppy day, but you know, I bet Queens tonight. You ever,
I've
Queens?
heard it, yeah.
Queens, man.
Queens.
Yeah.
Queens.
Do you even know Queens had a basketball team?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I mean, I might be one of the few because I'll watch something like, you know, Ryder and Fordham, and people are like, who are you watching? But I just watch college basketball all the time. It's in my blood from being a coach. I love watching the game. I don't care who's playing. I just love watching it and diving into it. There's a huge game this Saturday. Number 1 versus number 2. College game day is going to be in Alabama. It's Auburn versus Alabama. And from all intents and purposes, this may not just be the only time we see them play. They're going to play again in Auburn. We may see them again in probably the SEC tournament. That could be a final. And you might see them again in the March Madness in a Final Four, Elite Eight, championship game. This could be the first of many times we see Auburn, Alabama.
Well, this is a rivalry. I mean, you go to football, this is a huge game. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's those two schools. But there's an argument coming from Duke that they might be as good or better than these two teams. I'm not too sure about that, but they're going to make that argument.
Yeah, you know what's happening now in March Madness, I've noticed, just happened to Michigan State the other night. There's a lot of sickness going around. Now, there's no reason Indiana should have beat Michigan State. But I find out that afternoon that Michigan State's got 3 starters with the flu. A couple tried to play. They obviously didn't perform well, but if those guys were healthy, Michigan State probably makes that cover of 11. They got beat outright because they just didn't have healthy guys.
Michigan State played a very soft schedule early in the season. I don't think they're as good as their record. I bet against them when they were on the road on the West Coast, and they lost 2 games on the West Coast. They're not as good as their record. They played a soft schedule. Yes, the flu is going to affect anybody that gets it. But I'm not that high on them. I mean, their coach is great, of course, but they're not as good as the record.
Albert?
Yeah, I wanted to put this out there. I just saw this today. One of the guys who I respect very much and who's been on his show, Brent Munzberger, he made a bet today. He took Alabama to win it all.
Okay.
950 to 1 at the Circa.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean, they've been talked about and they didn't get talked about. You know, Nate Oates is a good coach. Alabama used to come and go with a 3-ball. They still rely a little bit on the 3-ball to get them going. But I've always said this with Alabama. For Alabama to be successful, they have to be able to turn you over. And if teams can handle their pressure and keep control of the ball, they got a good chance of winning. When they turn you over, they are a nightmare to try and come back on because they just got too many weapons. Ray, you got a question?
What happened to Mark Sears on Alabama? Why has he regressed so much? Is it a different game plan? Like, what's going on? That was my guy. That was my squad.
Well, if you look back a couple years ago, it was basically get it down the floor and jack the first open shot or 3 you could get, and he's not doing that as much this year, so it may not play into his repertoire of his game. Him and Nate may not be getting along. It happens a lot sometimes in these kids. They don't get along with the coach. And here's what's going to be happening, Jim. You're going to start seeing this going forward. The NCAA has eliminated the national letter of intent that players used to sign and say they're going to attend a school for this year, and it had all the scholarship information on there. I've read thousands of them in my career. They got rid of that because of the NIL and the transfer portal. So now there's no legal document keeping a player at a school. All they're going to sign is the financial responsibilities that the school is offering them, and they sign saying, I'm going to get X, Y, and Z from a financial standpoint. The player can walk out the door any time they want starting next year, which means the coach has no control. It's all the players are running the asylum. Chris?
Tommy, with the NIL, can they put provisions in the NIL contracts that force the kid to go ahead and have a certain length of service there?
They might. That's a good point. They could do that. Now, what the financial agreement that they're going to be signing, from everything I've learned from the NCAA, is when they walk, everything stops that day. So what I'm hearing is these schools are looking at breaking up the amount of money they're going to get. They're not going to give them so much up front because they don't know if they're going to walk. So they might give them 15-20% up front and then so much as the season goes on until they get all their money, because they know they can walk out the door anytime they want and they can't stop them. The NCAA needs a commissioner to put a cap on the NIL to slow down the transfer portals, and until they do that, this is a free-for-all. It's free agency by the players, and it's not going to continue to stop. What is going to happen, though, coming here As soon as we get the brackets out, we've talked about this, is Dom DeMarco's Pizzeria and Wine Bar Basketball Madness Bracket Challenge. You can fill out 2 brackets. You can win $300 for a food voucher for first, $200 for second, and $100 for third. Are you going to fill out a bracket?
Of course I'll fill out a bracket.
Let me guess, you're going to put St. John's as the winner.
No, well, I don't know about that. But I will say this, as far as the NCAA, the most fickle statistic in basketball, which is pro or college, is the three-point shot. If a team depends too much on the three-point shot, you better hope they don't have an off night, because then number 1 can fall to number 99 very easily.
Yep.
So if you take a team like Auburn, who doesn't fully depend on the 3 and can hit the boards and rebound and do a lot of 2-point scoring and defense, they're more dangerous, more consistently dangerous than somebody that depends on the 3. And you might want to watch that throughout the tournament, because these teams are playing a lot of games and very few nights off. So your legs get tired, the 3 points don't go in. So keep an eye on that going forward. I'm not real happy with all the portal changes and all the moving around, because it makes the game less consistent than it should be. I think in 2 or 3 years they'll figure it out. The suits are not as smart as they think they are. They make a mess of just about everything they touch, but they'll figure it out over time.
I won't say the name of the school, and I won't say the name of the coach, who's a friend of mine, but he's an assistant coach at a top 25 ranked team. He told me last year, after they got beat in the tournament, in the locker room now, they just got beat. Their number 1 guy told them he was transferring. In the locker room. He said on the way home in the plane, the second guy told them that he was transferring. When they landed, a third guy walked into the head coach's office and said he was transferring. He said, we got back from the tournament and landed. We had to sit in the coach's office till 3 o'clock in the morning going through the transfer portal trying to find out who we could get in right away, because we just lost 3 guys and we just got our ass beat.
Well, that's what Larinaga said when he quit. He said they went to the Final Four and 8 guys left. So, I mean, this is a mess.
It is.
And it's a mess because the suits don't know what the hell they're doing.
They don't.
They really don't.
Albert.
I just wanted to let everybody know that when those games start at 9 o'clock for that week, we'll be opening at 8:30.
Oh, you're going to open at 8:30 on that Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
Games, because the first tip's at 9:15 on Thursday, Friday, 9:45 on Saturday, Sunday. You opened up that all 4 days?
Yes.
There you go. You're probably going to have some March specials, I would imagine.
We got more specials here. Make your head spin.
And we got trivia, too. Trivia's
Albert
killing
talked
it.
about how he got into this business, but I eat here a lot, and all the people in here come here often. Most of the people in here are here all the time, every Thursday. And I'll tell you what, the food here, the service here, the management here is the best. If you're not coming to Don DeMarco's on West Charleston, you're missing out. I know you got the big hotels on the strip and all that stuff, and you got to pay $40 for parking. You don't pay $40 for parking here, guys. We don't have any casinos here. There's no slot machines, but they got the best food in town.
I know one thing you love a lot here, and you might as well tell all the audience. Tell them how good the sausage is here.
Oh, the sausage with the peppers and the sausage with the bow tie pasta. And then the other night, I had the blackened salmon with the sauteed spinach. I took that home. I mean, what was it, Ray, you just said? What was the day you like today? The lasagna?
No, yeah, the creamy vodka ravioli or something.
Ravioli. Okay. I'm going to be having that for lunch, for sure.
The harvest melon salad is to die for.
And the 2 to 6 is the happy hour, which is, I think it's 2 to 6, right?
Yeah.
2 to 6, yeah.
Everything's half off. I mean, you want to eat till you burst. If you want to get drunk, it's cheaper here.
You're right.
And the food is great. And the wine is great.
Love their wine. I'm a big wine guy myself. I love the wine selection here. I used to be a big Caesar salad fan. I am. And then I tried his Mediterranean salad, and that thing's out of this world.
Oh, yeah.
And then I recently got into the
you can put
harvest.
some blackened chicken on that, too.
And then the harvest melody salad I just tried, and that is good, too. So, I mean, even the salads are good.
I haven't tried that one.
That's because you're always getting the sausage and the peppers and the bow tie and the pasta.
You're right.
Yeah, I have to say that you gentlemen have excellent taste.
Any questions from anybody out there before we do a couple of final questions? Nothing from... Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Let's talk about something else. Parallel with the NIL. Let's take the Big Ten, for example. This cross-country traveling.
Yeah.
And, which is ridiculous, because it's all about the money. But, let's take UCLA for example. Look at their home record. Okay?
Yep.
Look at their defensive points allowed at home. Then look what happens when they come to the Midwest.
Correct.
Indiana, Illinois, Ohio State, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. No, I follow you. I know exactly what you're talking about.
But once again, you mentioned the word suits. It's all about the suits. But, you know, it's something to talk about.
Yeah.
Well,
So
you know,
hold on.
it's money, it's greed. You look at the streaming with the NFL. I mean, you don't know where the hell the games are anymore. You got to go through 8 channels to find out where the game is. It's all greed. It's the suits making the decisions. They're ruining everything.
So what
and
is-
eventually, once everything starts to collapse, they'll come back to their senses. Like, I don't know about what the numbers were here in Vegas, but I heard that that there weren't that many people coming, not like normal. The rates went down. We are ruining things, but with this constantly, it's all money, money, money. So we have to settle it down. Now, I think the kids should get paid. I think they've been robbed for years, and the schools took advantage of them. But we have to find some happy medium here, please.
Yeah, so his question is about the Big Ten having schools from Rutgers to New Jersey to UCLA on
Well, they used
California.
to travel 600 miles. They're traveling now 3,000 miles. Yeah, it's going to make a difference.
And it's going to make a difference, like he said, in what their defense and offensive efficiency are, depending on how many nights they've been on the road, how many time zones they have to go across. I saw a great quote by Eric Musselman from USC, and he said he had to go back to the days when he was an assistant coach in the NBA, because they would have to travel all the time and cross time zones, and sometimes 2-3 time zones, to get readjusted for college. He said, now that's just me. Now you got to add in, not a professional, but an 18 to 21, 22-year-old college kid that hasn't experienced traveling across the country like this, and it screws with him, and he's been on the road a couple times. He said, on his own, he's just trying to get his team sometimes just to get through a day, let alone trying to figure out what time zone it is. So it's affecting everybody.
Yeah, it is.
Other questions?
Who do you like coming out of the Big 12?
Oh, man.
Baylor.
Big 12. I know he's a big Arizona fan. I'm telling you what.
Arizona's very good.
Arizona's playing really well. They took it on the chin to Kansas State, but Kansas State's been playing well better, especially at home. You know,
I think there's going to be a lot of upsets, really. I think that you're going to see more upsets than you would ever imagine.
you still got to look at Houston. Kelvin Sampson knows how to coach the game. They defend the hell out of it. They get into you. They frustrate you. I mean, it used to be Kansas was the king of the court in the Big 12. They ran everything, and until Houston came to town. And since they've joined the Big 12, they've kind of pushed Kansas back. And Kansas has been taking a step back this year, too. I like Houston. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Arizona-Houston's a final game.
Is there anybody from the smaller conferences that might surprise, in your opinion?
You know, here's the thing. It's not that I'll give you a couple names, but here's what I'm worried about in the NCAA tournament. Because of what this gentleman brought up about these big mega conferences, the Big 12, the SEC, the ACC's really down this year, and then you got the Big 10. They're talking 10, 11 teams in the SEC are going to get in. 10, 11 teams in the Big 10 are going to get in. That's going to take away all these different at-large amount bids that these other teams are going to get. Plus, you have bid stealers that are going to win a conference they shouldn't win a conference. They're going to take away a bid from somebody. There's not going to be too many of these mid-major, low-major teams get an at-large bid because there's just not going to be there for them to get in. But if you're looking for a team like that, you got to look at a team that has a lot of seniors, that have some experience. These kids that are younger, that are freshmen, sophomores, they never get it done when it comes to the tournament. That's what scares me about Duke with Cooper Flagg. But if you're looking for a mid-major team, I think you got to go look into the Midwest, into the Missouri Valley. You got to take a good look at Bradley. Brian's got them playing really well, and North Iowa is another team that has got some experience. We'll see what comes out of that conference. But again, only one team's going to come out.
Now, strength of schedule in handicapping, it works for almost every sport. Well, it works for every sport, but not 100%. But these mid-majors, these smaller conferences, don't get to play these big guys.
Not anymore.
And now you're gonna run into, like, for example, like there's a St. Mary's on the West Coast that is playing very well right now.
Yeah, they'll get in.
But Yeah, they'll get in. The problem is, can they handle these big guys? And can they handle 4 games in a short period of time with these big guys? And that's something that almost never works, and now it might even be worse because all these good players are ending up in these big schools.
And you know, another thing you got to look at too is too many people these days are so hung up on the AP top 25 ranking for college basketball. And when they go into the room for the tournament, they don't look at ranking. They look at KenPom and they look at their net ranking. That's the 2 things. I just heard Brad Underwood from Illinois make a statement going, I don't care what we're ranked. All I care about is my net and where I'm ranked in KenPom. That's all that matters to them. And that's where it comes down to when you're looking at who's going to get a nod above somebody else. It's coming down to those 2 things.
There are other rating systems. They don't look at Torvik or anything like that. It's just KenPom.
KenPom and the net. The net's
Okay.
the biggest thing, and then they go to this. They go to KenPom. That's what
Okay.
for college basketball. It's what the ranking there is not meaning much anymore. That's kind of what they're looking at, and that's not what these coaches are looking at now. They're looking at where am I at in these two systems, and where am I going to get in? I'm looking to see what the NIT is going to do now because they're not going to be taking the teams that won their conference that didn't win their conference tournament. They're changing their format and how they select teams to get in.
How are they selected?
I haven't seen it, but what I've heard is they're going to be looking at these major conferences first, the ACC, SEC, Big 12, Big 10, to build their tournament first. And now there's some tournament out here in Vegas coming up. A new tournament's going to have like 16 teams they're going to do in March in Vegas. I don't know where they're getting these teams, but it's just going to get watered down.
What about the CBI and the CIT? Are they both still alive?
They might be.
I mean, there were 4.
Yeah.
The NIT, CBI, CIT, and the NCAA. Now you're telling me there's 5?
Yeah, there's another one. I can't remember
Okay,
the name of
good.
it, but Vegas has got some new thing. I don't know. It's some weird, quirky name anyway, but I don't know. But we'll talk about that when we get close to it. Albert, before we close up, here's the last thing I want to ask you is, are you more into betting football or more into betting basketball, or you just want to win?
The latter.
I'm sure you just want to win, but if you had to pick one, do you like football or basketball?
I like them both the same.
You do?
I like baseball.
Oh, you like baseball?
I love baseball.
All right. Are you a baseball
One
guy?
of
You
the
bet
few.
baseball?
I have a question.
Yes.
I don't mean to interrupt. Have you guys talked about how much money was won at the sports book on Super Bowl?
I saw $22.1 million today.
On 20% less handle, they won double what they won last year.
On 20% less handle.
20% less handle. And now today, ESPN reported New York State won 3 times the amount of Nevada. That's how much money is being bet in New York, the sports betting capital of the United States, by the way. New York is the sports betting capital.
3 times.
3 times the win, 62.8 million. Unbelievably, somehow they lost $6.5 million in Pennsylvania. So, Philadelphia, they lost
Albert's home
$6.5
state.
Those Pennsylvania bettors are really sharp. That's
There you go.
See, that's what happens. Albert and I are from Pennsylvania. You just can't beat us, Pennsylvania guys.
So back to, do you bet baseball?
By the way, on that, was that the props that they won it on? Or because the game seemed like it was even
The
money.
game was even money, which everyone bet. BetMGM, the sponsor of my show, on the weekend, the guy came on with us and had a risk. He said, listen, we have a 7-figure decision if Barkley doesn't score a touchdown.
Ah, okay.
That was literally a $2.5 million win, just that bet alone.
Wow.
Never mind Kelsey and some other ones.
Right.
So they cleaned up on Barkley props, which normally one prop won't make any kind of a big decision. However, 7-figure swing on Barkley.
Monster.
The sports books absolutely cleaned up in this country this year on the Super Bowl. The biggest net win ever here in Nevada on this Super Bowl.
And yet, New York wins 63 times the money. But, I mean, they've got a massive population compared to what we have, of course.
But they don't all bet. There's a lot of country bumpkin farmers up there.
No, they just passed a law. Everybody must bet. That's a new law.
I'm telling you. And the gaming companies cry. They say, we have to give 51% tax. This is the biggest shakedown state of all the country. They're making more money there, even paying the 51% shakedown, than they are anywhere else in the nation. Sports betting capital of the United States.
Wow. And as far as me, baseball, I took many years I took baseball off and I played poker and played in all the tournaments and stuff. And then I said, well, you know, this poker thing is it's a grind. There's a lot of hours, especially when you're playing tournaments, which I was doing. And I just can't sit at the table 35 hours over a week. I mean, I just can't do it. So I went back to handicapping baseball, and the last 5 years have been remarkably good betting baseball. So yes, I'm looking forward to baseball.
Awesome. Well, we'll be back February 26th, Wednesday at noon, back on the patio to start diving deep into March Madness. Make sure you get here to Dom DeMarco's Pizzeria and Wine Bar, 9785 West Charleston Boulevard here in Las Vegas. Give it up for our proprietor, Albert Scalleat, everybody, and Jim Feist. My name is Tommy Canale. We will see you guys in about 13 days here back for March Madness.